So summer is officially rolling in. And yeah, while we're all enjoying the sunshine, for our aquariums, this is actually the most dangerous time of year. So let's get into it. This is your essential survival guide to protect your little aquatic world from the summer heat.
I want to start with a number that honestly should get every single hobbyist's attention. 3 times. A 10 degrees Celsius rise in water temperature that can actually triple your fish's metabolic rate. What does that mean? It means their bodies are kicking into overdrive, burning more energy, and most importantly, demanding a lot more oxygen.
And right there, that's the central problem of summer. It's this dangerous balancing act. Just as your fish's metabolism is ramping up and they're desperate for more oxygen, the warming water is physically losing its ability to even hold that oxygen. It's a total perfect storm, and it's brewing right inside your tank.
So what's the science behind this? Why is the heat such a silent killer? To really protect our tanks, we've got to understand the physics and the biology that are at play inside that glass box.
Heat sneaks into our aquariums from all over the place, from sources you might not even think about. Direct sunlight, that creates a greenhouse effect, trapping heat. The temperature of the room itself, it's constantly seeping through the glass. And don't forget the gear inside the tank. Your lights, your filters, your pumps, they're all dumping waste heat directly into the water 24/7. And this is where we get to the heart of the problem. It's something called the oxygen temperature paradox. It's really the technical term for that double jeopardy scenario we talked about. A fish's body is screaming for more oxygen to fuel its racing metabolism at the exact same time the water is becoming depleted of it. This is the crisis we're trying to prevent. And a quick look at the data just makes this painfully clear. Look, at a nice cool 20 degrees Celsius, everything's pretty much at baseline. But if you jump that up to 30 degrees, whoa, the available oxygen plummets by almost 20%, while your fish's metabolic demand more than doubles. You're staring at a massive oxygen deficit that just gets worse and worse with every degree the temperature climbs.
Okay, so we've covered the invisible science, the stuff happening on a molecular level. Now let's talk about what you can actually see. Your tank will give you warning signs, and learning how to read them is probably one of the most important skills you can have as a fish keeper.
And here's a crucial tip, maybe the most important one I can give you. Watch your invertebrates. Seriously, your snails, your shrimp, your crabs, they will often show signs of stress way before your fish do. They really are the canaries in the coal mine. If you see them acting weird, it's a huge red alert that your oxygen levels are crashing and you need to act like right now.
So, what should you be looking for? Here's your visual checklist. Are your fish hanging out at the surface, gasping for air? That's the classic sign. Are their gills pumping like crazy, super fast? Are snails literally just falling off the glass? Or are your normally busy shrimp and crabs just sitting there, totally lethargic? These are all flashing red lights, telling you your tank is in crisis. Okay, enough with the scary stuff. Let's talk about how we fight back. We know the problem, we know the warning signs, so let's build your arsenal against the heat. There are a few different levels of defense here, from simple, everyday prevention to full-on emergency mode. All right, your first line of defense is what we call passive cooling. These are the simple, low-cost things you can do immediately. First, block any direct sunlight. Just close the blinds. Easy. Cut back on your lights on time for a few hours. Turn off any gear that isn't absolutely essential, like maybe a UV sterilizer. You can even insulate the back and sides of the tank to help buffer it from the heat in the room. Now, please do not underestimate the power of a simple fan. This is probably the most effective trick in the book. By just aiming a fan so it blows across the surface of the water, you dramatically speed up evaporation. And as that water turns into vapor, it literally pulls heat energy right out of the aquarium with it. This one simple trick can easily drop your tank's temperature by several degrees. It's a lifesaver. But what if you're already in a crisis? What if the temperature is already too high? Okay, it's time to act fast, but you've got to act smart. Float a few sealed, frozen water bottles in the tank. This cools the water down gradually. Never, ever just dump ice cubes in. And you can do a small, slow water change with slightly cooler water to help bring the temp down without shocking your fish. And, at the same time, maximize your surface aeration. Get an air stone bubbling. Point a filter output upwards. Do whatever it takes to force more oxygen into that water.
All right, so let's move beyond just putting out fires. Let's talk about being proactive. These are some expert-level tips that are going to help you build a more resilient system that can handle the heat all summer long without any drama.
So let's talk pro strategy.
First, get a temperature controller and hook it up to a cooling fan. That automates the whole process. Next, maximize your surface agitation. Point a power head or a filter output at the surface to create ripples. That churning is the single best way to drive oxygen into the water. Also, cut back on feeding. Digestion is work. It actually raises your fish's metabolism and oxygen demand, so smaller meals are better. And finally, think about using a dual heater setup. That way, if one heater ever gets stuck in the on position, it's way less likely to be powerful enough to cook your tank. It's a great little fail-safe.
So we'll leave you with this question. At the end of the day, in this hobby, it all comes down to vigilance. A small temperature rise that you catch early, that's a simple problem to solve. But a big one that you ignore, well, that can be a catastrophe. By understanding the science, reading the signs, and having a plan, you are totally in control. You can beat the heat. So let me ask you, your tank's temperature is rising.